loves. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Chats, a series of alternative perspectives. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who contributed to last week's episode in the comments. Greatly appreciated. As normal, I've selected 2, and here they are. This comment comes from Laurie Lewicki. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Please forgive me if I haven't. Oh, Chez, what a thought-provoking pod. The words "what might have been if" are some of the saddest words. You only seem to look back with regret when you use those words. That's why I always ask myself, if I did or didn't do this, what's the best or worst thing that could happen? And could I or would I be able to live with that? I get opinions, but ultimately, I think by myself to decide, and this has been a great tool for me. Love to you all, and thanks again, Chez. This comment comes from Ali1981, who says, the royal family didn't say anything in support of Caribbean people during the Windrush debacle, which is going on to this day, yet had a lot to say when in support of Scotland when they were voting on independence. Next, what's your beverage of choice today? I'm currently in my smoothie making phase, so I've blended baby cucumber, beetroot, carrots, curly kale, Granny Smith's apples, honey, water and ginger, and it tastes great if I do say so myself. So use the comment section to let me know what you're drinking while you're watching this video. I wanted to begin on a positive note by acknowledging Meghan's Instagram post on Sunday, which, as many of you know, was Mother's Day in the UK, also known as Mothering Sunday. She made this dessert, this cake, in respect of her husband's country of origin and tradition. Something she did not have to do, especially given the fact that there is a strong contingent in this country who absolutely despise her. For me, that just goes to show that she's not a malicious person, or it confirms that she's not a malicious person, because she's gone to this effort when she didn't need to. So that was nice to see. Also, to have a long chat with my daughter. She gave me a call on Sunday. As some of you may know, she's been living in the States for a number of years, and I half expected not to hear from her, but she remembered her mummy, and on top of that, I spent the day with my mum, so Sunday was a really good day. However, by contrast, Monday didn't turn out to be such a pleasant day for some people, and this forms the basis of our chat today. So, following Sunday's video, I was astounded at what took place afterwards, and I wanted to kind of open up the conversation more with regard to what's happening at Sentebale. The Sky News interview took place quite a while after I'd produced that video. So in the video on Sunday, I tried not to let my initial suspicions, which were negative, I tried not to let those suspicions taint my view of Sophie Chanduka. That's how I've heard her name pronounced, so obviously I was pronouncing it incorrectly, for which I apologise. Yeah, so I wanted to be as objective as possible. I felt the responsibility to be very careful because I didn't have certain information at that time. But then you, my house guests, actually confirmed my suspicions, because as I say on my channel, you are the ones who will always know much more than I do. So it all kicked off on Monday.
Prince Harry, well, he's been accused of harassment and bullying by the chairwoman of a charity that he set up. We were talking about that last week, weren't we? It comes after he resigned as a patron of Sentebale, claiming relations had broken down with the charity's boss. Well, she is not taking this lying down. She hit back in an interview with Sky News.
Really, what Prince Harry wanted to do was to eject me from the organization, and this went on for months. It went on for months through bullying, harassment, and so if the world didn't want to believe that there's such a thing as bullying, this unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Sentebale who received this and have had to defend it.
By the way, when you say the Sussex machine, what are you talking about?
The PR machine that supports Prince Harry's efforts.
Well, Royal Editor Russell Myers joins me now. These are huge and very serious allegations, aren't they, Russell?
They are. Good morning, Lorraine. Well, you know, as we were speaking about this war of words that had ensued last week, and it has absolutely exploded over the weekend, because there you heard from Sophie Chanduka, the under fire chair of Sentebale, the charity Prince Harry set up in 2006 in his mother's honour. Now, there is definitely a bit of a tangling between her and the board of trustees, who have stepped aside with Prince Harry and Prince Say-So of the Sutu. But as you saw there over the weekend, she did an interview with Sky News in the UK, claiming that Prince Harry had not only been guilty of harassment and bullying, but also that he tried to get her out of the organisation. And this is twofold, because there was an incident last April at a polo match in Miami, where there was a bit of a moving footage. Harry was being presented with a trophy. Sophie tried to stand next to him, and Meghan, Harry's wife, was sort of ushering her to the side. Didn't want potentially him to stand next to Harry, her to stand next to Harry for that photo call. So she said then, when that all blew up, Prince Harry came to her and told her to release a statement to the press to say that there was absolutely nothing that happened. She refused to do that, and that's what she's talking about, the Sussex machine. Now, twofold, she's also claimed that Prince Harry was responsible for losing potentially millions of pounds for the charity that he founded. And the reason that was because is due to the fact that he was insisting on bringing Netflix cameras into a polo match that people had not signed up for. And then what happened is the ground that was loaning them the polo field pulled out. They said, we don't want to have any business in this. So was Harry putting profit before purpose? It's a big allegation at his door at the moment.
No, it really is. And as you said, you know, Meghan's being dragged into it as well. What do you think this means for them? Anything at all? Do you think this will just be forgotten about? I can't imagine it will be, because, you know, as we said previously, the main focus has got to be on the young people that this charity wants to help.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about some of the the poorest children in the world, children who have been affected by HIV and AIDS. You know, Harry has always said that this charity, of course, has a special place in his heart. And now he stands accused of standing in the way of raising money for these affected children. It's quite a damaging allegation. I'd be surprised if Prince Harry doesn't come forward and try to refute these, because we know he's favoured litigation in the past. We have heard several reports over the weekend from sources close to the Board of Trustees who say that these fact claims are completely baseless. So in one corner you have Sophie Chanduka, the chair that is refusing to leave. She says, for the good of the charity. You've got Prince Harry and the Board of Trustees who are refusing to get involved with the charity if she stays. So it's a pretty ugly situation at the moment.
It really is. It's got very toxic. It's terribly sad, because obviously, as we've said, the whole charity was set up really in Princess Diana's name by Harry. He wanted to honour her, and this was the way that he wanted to do it. So it just all seems, unnecessary and very sad indeed.
Yeah, very, very sad. And you talk about that toxic nature. I mean, that's what Sophie Chanduka said, that she was struggling to bring patrons and sponsors into the charity because of Harry's toxic relationship with the press, to how his brand had become toxic. So what does this mean for Brand Sussex? They're trying a bit of a reinvention at the moment. We've got Meghan's new Netflix series. Harry's trying to go on his own way, doing things in the corporate world. It's all got very ugly. It's very, very messy at the moment, and it's very difficult to see at this juncture how this war of words will subside, because people aren't for turning. So watch this space with this one.
No, it's such a shame. Like I said, the main people here are, hopefully they can still raise enough money to look after the kids. That's what it's all about. Thank you, Russell. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I have since watched the 20-minute interview on Sky News conducted by Trevor Phillips. I was left feeling very disappointed, mainly because I felt that Sophie, to me, she's being heavily manipulated. She clearly thought that having Ian Rawlinson sat next to her was doing something, even though she was doing the majority of the talking and his contribution was minimal. I'm not going to be naive enough to think that she didn't know that the British media were waiting. They had their tongues hanging out for a story like this. And it's going to be very difficult for you to convince me that she didn't have a big fat juicy financial carrot dangling in front of her. Two of my paternal cousins, who are about 10 years older than me, so that would place them about mid-60s, they have received MBEs for services in their respective fields. I have never shared my views with them about the honour system in the UK, and I don't believe I ever will, because they are proud of having been recognised and rewarded by the establishment. And I suspect Sophie is also very proud of the MBE presented to her by Queen Elizabeth in 2021. For me, knowing this kind of clarifies why Sophie claimed that the withdrawal of investors coincided with Harry leaving the UK back in 2020. Now, looking at this graphic, Sentebale's worst period was in August 2020. However, for some reason, the fact that there was a global pandemic during that time doesn't seem to be part of her explanation, but rather the blame has been placed on Harry stepping back from the royal family at the beginning of that year. Her assertion indicates to me that she is another person who may harbour some resentment towards Harry, who chose to protect the family he created with Meghan by stepping back from royal duties. Perhaps she sees him as being disloyal to the royal family. I am very confused, okay, because if Harry stepping back was the sole reason for a drop in donations, why was there an increase in the years following? But then, a drop in donations as Sophie was preparing to come back and take up a new position as chairwoman in July 2023. This is the same woman who is accusing the trustees of poor governance and mismanagement. I'm just confused, guys. You need to help me out with this. You are knowledgeable. I'm not. Okay? Now, when it comes to the joint resignation of several trustees, I had incorrectly made the assumption that they were all male. And that was purely based on what I'd heard before I'd seen that Sky interview. Now, with the knowledge that women were on the board that didn't back up Sophie's claim or claims, I find it very strange that she would push the narrative that Harry is toxic to work with while claiming that they had always had a great relationship.
All right, well, look, there have been accusations against you also.
Yes.
As I said, Baroness Chalker said that you were dictatorial. But on the polo match, which we've talked about, the accusation is that the financial backers were upset by your conduct, and also that you hired expensive consultants without board approval.
Well, that's just not true. Ian is witness.
Well, look, I mean, another source from who was a trustee apparently told a national newspaper that the trustees were supportive of moving fundraising towards America, but you didn't do that, you, Sophie, and I'm quoting here from the Financial Times. Trustees tried to negotiate this privately, requested she consider her position due to their lack of trust and confidence in her as a leader. Isn't the problem here that it was you was the problem not the Prince?
It was me who was the problem because I put a whistleblower complaint about the bullying, the harassment, and the misogyny, and Prince Harry interfered in the investigation of that. And the senior independent director who should have taken care of it was the very same person who then delivered the news to me that I was going to be removed by the board. So it's a cover-up, and the Prince is involved.
You talked about misogyny. Let's be frank. Are you saying that the misogyny stems from Prince Harry himself and his associates?
I would actually say my experience is Prince Harry himself, fantastic, actually. We had a great relationship. We had a great relationship. But there are some individuals on the board who, quite frankly, did not treat me in the way that they would have treated the prior chair, right? And
because?
And completely disrupted my meetings because they thought that they could get away with mistreating a woman.
Now let's put the charity to one side. What disappointed me even more was that Meghan was dragged into this dispute based on this video clip.
Thank you very much, Andrew Tucker, for putting on such a great day here at the Sentebale Club. Again, a big thank you to all those who provided horses.
On the actual day, we had Prince Harry, which is always wonderful. The Duchess decided to attend, but she told us she wasn't attending. And she brought a friend, a very famous friend. So you can imagine all of the activity that goes with these additional amazing people. We're excited about it. We would have been really excited had we known ahead of time, but we didn't. And so the choreography went badly on stage because we had too many people on stage. The international press captured this, and there was a lot of talk about the Duchess and the choreography on stage and whether she should have been there and her treatment of me.
Guys, I honestly cannot see what Meghan did wrong. Firstly, where Sophie positioned herself was awkward for the photographer and awkward for Harry because she was standing right in front of Harry, so he was being blocked. Secondly, I don't care what anyone says. If my husband had won a trophy and there was a photo call after I presented the trophy to him, do you think I'm going to be standing away from him? I'm going to be standing right next to him as his wife. Right next to him. There was clearly a space made for Sophie next to Meghan, and Meghan directed her to that space, but this woman did not want to move for some reason. At no time did I hear Meghan tell her to get out of the way or shout at her and say, "What on earth do you think you're doing?" But apparently, the claim is that Meghan treated her poorly. Now, personally, if I knew that several people would resign in unison because they did not want to work with me, the embarrassment would be too much for me to handle, and I would be inclined to quietly exit and concentrate on the other projects I'm involved in. I would simply cut my losses and move on. So guys, these questions that I have, I would love you to get in the comments and answer them for me. I need you to tell me what you think. If Harry is so toxic to work with, why did Sophie come back in 2023 after serving from 2008 to 2015? If Harry is so toxic to work with, why haven't we heard the same from the Invictus organisation, Scotty's Little Soldiers, Travelist, or any of the other organisations Harry's involved in? If, according to her bio on the Sentebale website, Sophie has involvement with other charities, why didn't she just step down and focus her fundraising efforts on those? How come she didn't have any objection to the so-called Sussex PR machine when she was being invited to take part in numerous events and photo calls, including the polo event in Miami last year? Is the real reason she refused to step down as chair because this is the position that afforded her public exposure simply due to her proximity to the Sussexes. Additionally, is another reason because her family has reportedly made donations to the charity and she really feels as if the organisation belongs to her. Although Harry co-founded Sentebale with Prince Say-So, why do you think Sophie has targeted Harry and there's been no mention of Prince Say-So? Lastly, if she really is concerned about steering the organisation in a different direction, focusing on new objectives and initiatives for the youth of that region, why, with her expertise in the charity sector, wouldn't she just start a brand new organisation under a different name?
So they always tell you to follow the money when it comes to scandals. So let's scroll here. This is a business called Nandy Life Sciences, which is supposed to have been started by one Miss Sophie Shandaka. I hope I said her name right. And her brother Tinashe Shandaka. So these two right here are siblings. I don't know the pecking order. But something interesting about Brother Darius here. Now, Brother here has a CV too, where he is listed as from 2023 to 2024 being one of the consultants at Sentebale. And just like dear sister here, he loves name dropping Prince Harry. He doesn't even mention Prince Say-So when he mentions that he works for the founding charity, the charity founded by Prince Harry. And then it gets even more interesting. This woman right here, lovely, isn't she? This is Sarah. Sarah also is on this team, but Sarah was also hired as a consultant for, you guessed it, Sentebale. Now, I'm going to say something wildly unpopular. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out, and I don't know who these people are. They're just here. The unpopular situation is that a lot of you don't believe that this woman is dumb. I think she's a very stupid woman. Not this woman right here. I think she's a moron. And I think she's a moron because you mean to tell me that you hired these two people for $600,000 for consultation. Unless there's more people involved, I don't know. No other names were involved, but it seems like these two were the main ones who are listing on their CVs that they were consultants for Sentebale. And it just so happens that this magical $300K that was floating around that Sophie claims that she was allotted or she deserved, if you break that up in two, you get that magic salary number. I just want to let people know that typically consultants don't make this type of money. They can make anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 because, as we know, when it comes to charity fundraising, it's all type of different layers to that. But this woman, when she gets exposed, she's in trouble because she did something with this money that I don't even think is legal. Like, I don't know if this is legal. I don't know. And it just so happens they work for your Nandy Sciences. You know what I think? I think she wanted Sentebale to fund her shit, and she was bleeding that charity to feed into this. Shame on her, and if I'm wrong, I will eat crow. But something's funky here. What do you guys think?
I don't know Sophie Chadawunka personally. She's the chair of Sentebale, the charity that Prince Harry and Prince Say-So started 20 years ago. But whenever I hear a woman, particularly a black woman, being depicted as the problem or the difficult one, my guard is up. I'm literally ready to tie my wrapper around my waist because how is she the problem? Now, if it's proven as fact, no wahala. But until then, I don't accept it at face value. Sophie Chadawunka reports the board of trustees who hired her to the Charity Commission and has filed a lawsuit against them. The allegations are of abuse of power, weak governance, bullying, harassment, misogyny, amongst others. And she has placed Prince Harry at the center of her allegations.
What you're essentially saying is that the Duke of Sussex is guilty of harassment and bullying and improper conduct in the governance of a charity?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to give you a really good example. The only reason I'm here, Trevor, is because at some point on Tuesday, Prince Harry authorized the release of a damaging piece of news to the outside world without informing me, or my country directors, or my executive director. And can you imagine what that attack has done for me, on me, and the 540 individuals in the Sentebale organizations and their family? That is an example of harassment and bullying at scale. And so if the world didn't want to believe that there's such a thing as bullying, this unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Sentebale who received this and have had to defend it.
Now, this entire framing is a tad intellectually disingenuous to me, because how is a public statement of Prince Harry and Princess an example of bullying and harassment at a scale when you, Sophie, put this out in the public domain first? Yeah, your report against the Board of Trustees at the Charity Commission is in the public domain. Your lawsuit against the Board of Trustees at the High Court is in the public domain. How else are Prince Harry and Princess meant to respond to your public actions, except by responding with a public statement? You know, can you see that? I think you may have other examples, so dig deep, because this right here isn't it. Fascinating the way Sophie uses words like my country director, my executive director, because I'm thinking, girl, you're the chair. We all know the role of a chair, do you? Because you're not the CEO who runs the daily operations of the charity. The CEO would have country directors, executive directors, yada yada. But so why are you talking like you're the CEO, and why are you talking like you own the place? The language smacks of a hostile takeover, in my humble opinion. Equally fascinating is how Sophie frames this as an attack on the employees. Now, we all know the employees are not at the center of the altercation between the founders, trustees, and chair. So drawing the employees into this, to me, is a way of shaping the court of public opinion in her favor. I'm not sure it will do that though, because quite frankly, anyone should be able to see through this. And when asked if Prince Harry is misogynist to her, she said no.
You talked about misogyny. Let's be frank, are you saying that the misogyny stems from Prince Harry himself and his associates?
I would actually say my experience is Prince Harry himself, fantastic actually. We had a great relationship. But there are some individuals on the board who, quite frankly, did not treat me in the way that they would have treated the prior chair.
And herein lies the crux of my reaction to Sophie Chadwick's TV interview, because we know this TV interview is a court of public opinion where she presents her allegations against Prince Harry, bearing in mind that her allegations against the Board of Trustees are being addressed by the Charity Commission and the High Court, and I hope they get the seriousness and rigor required. But in the court of public opinion, no rules apply. It's a jungle out there, right? And I just think after watching the whole interview from start to finish, I did not find it compelling or persuasive. That doesn't mean I don't believe her or I believe her. That has jack all to do with it. It's just the same as I said at the start of this video. If I am not going to accept that she's the problem at face value without compelling evidence, I am not going to say I found this TV interview compelling when I didn't. Now, when Sophie Chadwick talks about this whole polo debacle, I have to say I found that really annoying. Are you telling me after people worked their butts off, negotiated, secured the location, did all of that, they now had to cancel it a month before because Harry had a Netflix show? Now, that would piss me the hell off, because that's just disrespectful of people's efforts if it happened the way she said it did. But I have to say, even that does not sound to me like a fundamental crack that should lead to irreconcilable differences, especially since she said they had, a great relationship. And then she talks about Prince Harry being a financial risk because some donors no longer wanted to donate because he had led royal family and there were all this drama around him. I say, if they don't want to donate, let them walk out the door. When one door closes, God will open another one. Simple.
I'll be very interested to read your comments because this one is a head scratcher for me. And I don't think this woman has done herself any favours, because in that interview she was the one who came across as toxic, and she just fed into that stereotype. And you guys know which stereotype I mean. I don't have to spell it out for you. I just found it so disappointing. I was like, oh my gosh, you really had to do that. And then who did you get to try and support you? The man who works, or at least used to work for, Harry's brother. That's not a coincidence, as I said in Sunday's video. Guys, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, and as always, I will select 2 and feature them in the next episode. In the meantime, guys, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for meeting me for coffee today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall catch up again very soon.